Your 401k is not safe. An executive order signed in 2025 made it legal to put risky bets inside your 401k. On March 30th, 2026, a new federal rule was proposed to make sure you cannot sue when they fail. In my last video, we showed how $3 trillion in private credit, unregulated loans, with no public price and no exit window, was quietly moved into retirement accounts across the country. But here's what nobody told you next. Those same assets are already sitting inside your 401k. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where they are hiding, who made that placement legal, and why the people who designed the system are already moving toward the exit. By the end of this, you will know exactly what is sitting in your 401k account and the 3 steps you can take today. Act 1. The fund you trusted. Most people with a 401k have never made a single investment decision. They signed up through their employer. They picked a fund with their retirement year on the label, and then they never looked at it again. That fund, the one tied to your retirement date, is called a target date fund. It was designed to be simple. The closer you get to retirement, the more conservative the mix becomes. Less in stocks, more in bonds. The allocation shifts automatically. You don't have to think about it. That was the promise. And for decades, it mostly held. A target date fund today holds roughly $10 trillion in retirement savings across the United States. That number comes from the investment company Institute's 2025 annual report. 1 in 2 401k participants is in one of these funds right now. So here's the thing about a fund that holds $10 trillion. It is not just a retirement product. It is a distribution channel. And when the private credit industry needed a way to reach retail investors at scale, the target date fund was the most efficient vehicle available. Think of it like a grocery store. You walk in for milk. You don't check every ingredient on every product on every shelf. You trust the store made reasonable decisions about what belongs there. Target date funds work the same way. You trusted the fund manager, made reasonable decisions about what belongs inside. What changes who gets to define reasonable? Starting in 2020, the major private credit managers began structuring products specifically designed to sit inside target date funds, not as a standalone option, not as something you could see and choose, inside the fund, mixed in with the bonds and equities you thought you were holding. Morningstar analyzed the 20 largest target date fund families in 2025. 14 of them had private credit exposure inside, already there, without you knowing. You did not select those positions. Your fund manager did. And until recently, if those positions blew up, you had a clear legal path to hold them accountable. That path is now being closed. If you want to know when the next system gets exposed, subscribe. Every episode in this series connects to the next one. Act 2, the law that removed your last defense. In August 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14330. The title was Democratizing Access to Alternative Assets for 401k Investors. The framing was about access. More Americans getting the same investment tools that big institutions use. Higher potential returns, better diversification. That was the public story. Here's what the order actually instructed. It directed the Department of Labor to build legal protection for employers who put private equity, private credit, and cryptocurrency inside your 401k. Not for you. Safe harbor is a legal term. It means if you follow the process, we define you are presumed to have acted responsibly. And if you are presumed to have acted responsibly, the court defers to that presumption. In practice, safe harbor means the fund managers running your 401k can place risky, illiquid, opaque assets inside your retirement account and be protected from ERISA lawsuits if those assets lose value. Not protected from losing your money, protected from being sued for losing your money. On March 30th, 2026, the Department of Labor published the proposed rule. The rule establishes a 6-factor checklist. If your plan sponsor checks those boxes, they receive safe harbor status. The court, under the proposed framework, is instructed to give their decision significant deference. Americans for Financial Reform called it a dangerous rule. Their senior policy analyst described it as steering workers' retirement savings into risky, opaque, high-fee investments. But here's the part that completes the picture. This rule did not arrive in a vacuum. Go back to late 2022, the exit gates at major private credit funds began closing. Institutional investors, the ones who understood exactly what they owned, started requesting redemptions. 5 funds hit their gates simultaneously. The people who built the system started moving toward the exit. At that exact moment, the regulatory pathway for retail investors to enter these same structures through their 401k plans was being formalized. The executive order came in August 2025. The proposed rule came March 30th, 2026. The institutions were leaving. The regulations were arriving. That sequence is not a coincidence. That is the architecture. And the pressure building underneath this architecture has a specific deadline. 11% of all software loans and private credit portfolios need to refinance in 2027, 20% in 2028, Those loans were written when interest rates were near zero. They will refinance at rates that are dramatically higher. For companies whose revenues are already being compressed by AI displacement, that math does not work. The losses that were hidden through deferred interest structures and quiet asset handovers. Those losses have a due date, and the people who designed this system know that due date better than anyone. Act 3, what you can do right now. Let me ask you one thing. Does your 401k include a target date fund? Log into your account and check your current holdings. The fund name will include a year, 2030, 2035, 2040. That year is when the fund assumes you retire. If you see one, that is your starting point. Step 1. Find the prospectus. Every target date fund files a prospectus with the SEC. Search the fund name on SEC, Gov under Edgar, or search the fund name plus the word prospectus directly. Step 2. Search for the alternative investments disclosure. Inside the prospectus, look for these specific terms: private credit, private equity, alternative investments, illiquid assets, redemption limitations. If those terms appear, read the percentage allocations. The fund is required to disclose exactly how much can be placed in these categories. Step 3. Compare that ceiling to the current holdings report. Holdings reports update quarterly. If the current allocation is approaching the disclosed ceiling, the fund has been actively building that exposure. That is the number you need to know. This process takes about 20 minutes. Now, that does not fix a structural problem. A structural problem requires structural accountability. And right now, the March 30 proposed rule is moving in the opposite direction. But the public comment window is still open. The Department of Labor is accepting written comments. Every comment entered becomes part of the formal regulatory record. That record is reviewed before the rule is finalized. I left the exact AI prompt for this in the pinned comment below. Run it today before this tab closes and you move on. The architects of this system are counting on the people inside it staying unaware. You are not unaware anymore. The second why. Now that you see the structure, you can act differently. Here's the question I am sitting with. The same firms that built the private credit system and the same firms that wrote the products now sitting inside target date funds are already developing the next vehicle, one designed for a post-safe harbor world, one that does not need your awareness, because the regulatory framework no longer requires it. What does that vehicle look like? And is it already being built? That is 2 whys I am pursuing. You don't have to subscribe, but if you do, you'll know when the next system drops. Now tell me, what should we expose next?